Welcome to the After Sass, the makeup video where I go through my makeup collection and use things I have instead of buying new things. This is a follow-up video to my Critical Sass series where I talk about new makeup. This After Sass isn't going to be super thorough. What kind of happens toward the end of the year is a lot of specialty eyeshadow palettes get released, and that tends to be like the focus of the holiday releases, with some regular collections kind of getting put in here and there. For the most part, it tends to be like eyeshadow focused, and that's the stuff that they can make limited edition. So there might be like limited edition blushes, limited edition lipsticks. It really makes the After Sass not less important, but I can only pick so many things to do the After Sass with. In today's After Sass, I will be including some newer products of intrigue as well, just because I think that will be worth our while. Not that I need this video to be super long, but it helps beef it out a little bit. For foundation today, I'm going to be using the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Tint. Every time I forget how much I love this, I wear it and I'm like, maybe I don't like that as much as I thought I did. Every time it proves me wrong. I wore it in... Did I wear it in a video or did I just wear it in real life? I think I just wore it in real life. I was like just hanging out with my friend and I threw it on because I didn't have a lot of time to do my makeup that day to hang out. And I still haven't washed my brushes. It's on my to-do list. I have an incredibly long to-do list right now. This is still in my before I leave. So it's a lot of filming and a lot of editing, and it's like, it's not my usual pace. It's not my usual pace. And I know all of you would be like, well, you don't have to put anything out next week. And I know I don't. And I also kind of have like lowered my output as far as videos have gone this year. Mostly kind of doing them when I feel like I have something worthwhile to say, or like the time and wherewithal, which I think is overall healthier. I want to say this has nothing to do with any of the things I just said. My skin doesn't like retinol. Here's what's going on. The red dots came back and I did start using, I finished my Shani Darden retinol, which I still think is a really great retinol. And I switched to this one from a brand called Banish, which they were kind enough to send me in PR. And their whole thing is like, it's like for acne prone skin. And I just think all of their stuff, it all tended to be a little too strong for my skin. And the bumps came back, but I've gone back to just using that La Mer product as my only active. Just took a couple of days since I stopped using the retinol for my skin to go back to normal. So I think I'm just choosing the La Mer product. Maybe I won't go with any retinols right now. I don't feel like I need to buy the Shani Darden one. I don't think my skin like needs... The actives I'm using right now are currently potent enough to do everything I'm asking for them. Okay, so this does not have anything to do with Critical Sass, but I think I should follow up with this for you right now. It's not like my official review, but I'm going to tell you how it's going with the Victoria Beckham concealer. And John made fun of me because they said I keep saying that it's unfortunate that I keep liking a lot of these products that I'm trying, which yes, I feel both ways, where it's like, wow, this thing's really nice, but also it's like not something that I feel like people need or like people should covet or anything like that. The Victoria Beckham concealer is unfortunately, I think, my favorite concealer and the best concealer I've ever tried. It's been the only concealer I've been reaching for, and I've been reaching for it over my Surratt Dewdrop concealer, which says a lot. That Dewdrop concealer has been around for a long time. I just have been adoring this. It wears beautifully throughout the day. It makes my skin look so gorgeous. In Critical Sass, a lot of you complimented my skin, which was for two things. We're not talking about that other product I was wearing that day. Spoiler alert for my quarterly favorites. The Prada foundation, like, I think was like the perfect foundation for the summer for me. Anyway, I'll talk about that in that video, but I was wearing this in my under eyes and I thought my under eyes looked excellent. Just gonna throw a little bit of this on the under eye. I would love to wear it all over my face because I do think it looks really gorgeous as a foundation too. There's too little product in there and I don't want to have to re-up on it. Now, someone did make me aware, because I don't often check this kind of thing because it's so rare that I feel like a complexion product goes off on me before I end up finishing it, even if it takes me longer than the shelf life it says. This has a 6-month shelf life. And like Victoria Beckham products I have had, they have like just turned a little bit right around the time that it said they would. I will be making a concerted effort to use this up because, like, spoiler alert, I'm going to keep it because I think it's incredible. I have nothing to say about their skincare claims at all because, like, I will not be using it enough to, like, know if the TCF8 or whatever the Augustina Spader ingredient is. Like, I will have no way to know if that's doing anything for my skin. All I know is I like the way it wears. It has beautiful coverage for me. Everything is coming up roses for that concealer. Unfortunately, in the fortunate side, I spent $70 on a concealer that I really absolutely love. The unfortunate problem with it is that it's a $68 concealer that I really love. Like, but it's both things can be true. Let's talk about some stuff that we can talk about from Critical Sass. So I'm going to powder my face. Hourglass is releasing their ambient lighting powder edits that they do every year. Basically, what I say every year is true. It's not something I'm super interested in. I, as a beauty content creator, like, I think maybe next year I'm not going to even acknowledge them or talk about them unless I think the packaging is cute, because my feelings on them are the same every year. I have nothing new to say. They haven't done anything new or different in a couple of years, even in relationship to these ambient lighting powders edit things that they do every year. My least favorite thing about them is that they are a palette. I like to choose my colors. A face palette for me is such a lost cause for a number of reasons. Like, I don't think about face palettes. I really enjoy the blushes inside this Bella Beauté Bar blush palette. I never reach for it because it's a blush palette. And it's not because I have some thing, I don't have an out for like face palettes and blush palettes. My brain does not think of them. They could be right there in front of my face and I would be like, I'm going to use another blush. And maybe my favorite color of blush is in that blush palette, or my favorite bronzer is in that blush palette. I am still not gonna reach for it because for some reason my brain likes things to be in their own compact for the most part. Like, eyeshadow palettes are a little bit different, but like, even my preferences with eyeshadows, I like a single shadow. Like, you know, like I like a shadow in a single compact. It's just one of those things, you know, like I just don't like face palettes, and I'm not gonna force myself to use one, and I'm not gonna pay $90 for one. I've had one before. They are beautiful if you like that. If you like, you know, it's like, I think there are things that people will like about them if they buy them, but like, you only need one. I think, personally, like, you only need one of those. So if you bought one year and you haven't used it all the way up, I don't think it's going to be worth it for you. Let's start with, I'm going to use a face powder. In the blush palettes that Hourglass releases, they have the ambient lighting powders, the blushes, and the bronzers in them. Sometimes the palettes will only have like blushes and the highlights, and you know, so basically everything I'm going to be using is in relationship to that. But I will actually be using Hourglass's just regular setting powder. It's not one of their ambient lighting powders. I stand by that this is a beautiful powder, and I'm very into it and I really enjoy it. It is also a very expensive product from the brand. It has really worked out for me as far as what I need for a powder. I like the light blur of it. So it's not that I don't like anything from it's not, I don't think I even claim to say that I don't like things from Hourglass, but I just would rather have it in its own compact. And obviously I can buy the blushes and the bronzers and the highlights in their own compact. I don't actually like Hourglass powder highlighters. I think there's something a bit off about them. I did try them at a different time in my preferences, so maybe I might like them now, but I still don't think I would really care for them. And then for my under eyes, because there was one of the ambient lighting powders I really like to use under my eyes. It was like slightly yellow, but it was really, really light. I'm just going to be using my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Airbrush Brightening Under Eye Powder. Did I get that right? Who literally knows if I got all those words in the right order? I like that it's brightening. I obviously have used a lot of it. I don't think Charlotte Tilbury's packaging is really good, but Hourglass's packaging is kind of clunky sometimes. And I do feel that way specifically about their blush and powder compacts. I do think that this being this thin is a little bit sleeker, and I like it a little bit better than even if I had one of the ambient lighting powders. I think I would like to try one of the ambient lighting powders again. I'll just buy a mini if I decide to go down that route. So the ambient lighting powders, I think, are technically supposed to be finishing powders. I feel like whenever I worked at Sephora, that was like how they were kind of discussed. And my favorite finishing powder is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur finishing powder, which is something I've been working on for a really long time. And again, we're getting close. The pan just keeps growing and growing and growing, and that's what we love to see. And we love to see that. I posted the brush video. The brush situation is so much better in this video. Like, me looking for them, there's so much space on this side of my vanity. I feel so relieved. Now, a couple of you commented, you're like, I can't believe I have more makeup brushes than you do. I think there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One, you're allowed to have as many brushes as you would like. I'm not casting judgment if you would like to have more brushes than me. If your system is that you want to have more brushes so you have to clean your brush less often, great. My running theory is if I have less brushes to wash, washing won't feel like task that is like a daunting, never-ending task. With all those brushes, if I would brush them in one sitting, it took me 45 minutes to wash all of them. I'm not trying to like have a task where I have to take 45 minutes to do a task that I don't like. I don't want to do that. It's not for me. I don't want that. It's not a thing that I would desire to have to do. I don't want a 45-minute chore. So having less and maybe taking 20 minutes will feel very nice and refreshing and not daunting. And that's what I'm hoping for. As I said, in the Hourglass palettes, they have bronzers. Something I will say, and I will note, I think if you have deeper skin, like medium to deep skin, I think the bronzers inside the palettes are going to be better for you than their individual compact bronzers, because their individual compact bronzers have like a highlighting component to them. They don't really read as shimmery. They really read as like a more of a satin kind of finish on the skin. That might make them look not as deep on your skin, but I have found that for me, it makes them like very lightly pigmented and hard to mess up. So I think if you have like fairer skin, which, you know, obviously we all know that Hourglass is mostly catering to people with lighter skin, I really like those bronzers. They're very lovely. Like, they're so nice. The only reason I don't have one is because I had the Tom Ford one and I liked it better, and I, you know, passed on the other one. In my collection, I was trying to look for something that I felt like would be similar, akin to the bronzers in there. I find the bronzers in the palettes a little bit harder to use because they don't have that like highlighter bit in it. But I have a baked, I guess it could be considered a bronzer. I've been wearing it as a bronzer recently from Chantecaille. It's the shade Ray in the Sunbeam Cheek and Eye. That was like a limited edition thing that they released a couple of years ago. And I just think it's like such a beautiful bronzer. I'm just realizing I didn't contour, and I think that's okay. Whenever I put all my makeup away, last time I put my makeup away, I put it in a different drawer, and that was enough. Sometimes that's enough. You put something in a different drawer and you're like, that doesn't exist to me anymore. I don't know about it. I don't know about her. Where'd she go? Now we're at the point where the wet blushes, and those blushes are baked, and I don't think I have any. I don't have any baked blushes right now. And we talked about a couple liquid blushes, but I don't feel like, well, I just powdered my face, so I think I don't want to use a liquid blush right now. I think a formula that feels very similar to something that you would find in those palettes that works very similar, very easy to use, very watercolory feeling, just gorgeous, are the ones from Surratt. And so we're going to use Peau de Pêche today. We're going to be doing a warmer look for hautemesstom. Ooh, a warm look. Everyone's shocked. I know, it's fall, and I'm like, what about? Have you guys heard of warm tones? The ones that you've been wearing all summer? Yes. Well, I've chosen to wear mine now. And you all like it. You like that about me. Right on the forums, you say, that hautemesstom? You know what I like about them? They're always doing something different. I'm sure that's what you're saying about me. I'm sure you're only saying nice things about me. I'm gonna take some Peau de Pêche. This is the... sometimes... And I have really been on autopilot this week at work. Sometimes I've been like having to check in with myself and be like, you know, you're working, right? Not that I was like slacking off from work, but like I would just be like looking at the screen and like nary a thought in my mind. I was like, this is this, and then this is my cheek, the brush, and like I do that sometimes when I think it's relevant, but it's not relevant. You can't buy this anymore. And I've talked about this a zillion times on my makeup channel, I'm going to be in Palm Springs for the Creator and Friends thing. If you don't follow the Creator and Friends Instagram, you could if you want, if you're like want to know what's going on with Creator and Friends. And if you're a small creator, I would suggest following them, because when they throw events and stuff, they often they want a variety of people to come to them, and I think they also want to encourage smaller creators to like be involved with it. So I think it's worth giving them a follow. Anyway, they released the cast list, and I made it. I mean, I've been going for a while, and I've been talking about it on the channel for a while. I've been a little bit nervous about the trip. Still a little bit nervous about the trip. You know, meeting a bunch of people all at once. I never found it. Did I? I lost my spoolie in another video, and I haven't been able to find it. Well, where did it go? It's not on the floor. That's the first place I checked. So there's just some soft color from Peau de Pêche. Ooh, nice, beautiful, gorgeous, stunning. Thank you, Surratt, for your hard work. And now we've come to the point where we're going to talk about a new product, a product that's new to me. I wanted to do a video that included these for the real ones, the people who are always here that click on my videos all the time. I will do a video later on them, but this is in case you happen to be interested in this product and you've been waiting for me, but I'm not doing a dedicated highlighter video at the time. So I have two of the highlighters from Hindash, which I purchased. I don't know why I said that like that. Which I purchased. Sometimes I buy makeup. The sickness is mostly gone, but every now and then when I get too excited, it creeps up on me. So I have two. Hold on. I have two shades. I have two shades. I bought two of them. This is the shade La Luna. And so this was the one that kind of looked like it might be purpley. I haven't found that to be true. So they are gradient. This is not the best one to display it. The gradient on this one is so subtle because it is kind of like icy. It's like the one side's icy white and then the other side is like purple. But I thought what would happen. I was wearing that black lipstick in Critical Sass and I tapped some of the side that I thought was supposed to be like the more purple side on my lips, and it didn't look purple. It did highlight the center of my lips, but it never looks purple. So I don't even think it's gonna compare. It's like, I don't think it's gonna overlap with the one I bought from Gucci. Like, I don't think there's actually gonna be a comparison to them formula wise, or maybe their finish is really close. Anyway, let's continue with the Hindash stuff. I also bought the shade Doll Dynasty. Wow, the gradient is really hard to catch on camera. This one has a stronger gradient. It's like because of the light. So do you see how there's like a gradient? This side's darker. I'll swatch them for you, but I don't think that swatching hasn't done them justice. Putting them on is like a whole different thing. So here are both. I just grabbed some from both sides of the gradient. This is the side that's whiter on La Luna, and this is the darker, more purpley side. It doesn't look purple to me. Or maybe the lighter side is purple and the other side is like more yellow. So this is the whiter side, and then this is the other side, the darker side of the gradient. I don't think he promised purple. I think in my head, I'm like, that's purple. And I got it in real life. I was like, maybe it was never purple. Maybe it was the friends we made all along. Update. The left side is the darker side. Now that I'm looking at this one. So I do think on this one, it's like, okay. It is really hard to see the gradient on this one. This one, it's hard to see in the light. When I show you the swatches, you'll at least be able to see that there is a difference. There's the darker side, and then there is the lighter side of that one. I would say if you are interested in buying these Hindash ones, I would say you probably only need one. I mean, I would say that in most scenarios, you don't need either of them, but I would say just buy the one that you're more interested. So if you're like into like more icy cool tone ones, I think that La Luna would be like, just buy that one. Don't risk it for the biscuit on this one, because this one is like, I know it looks warm in the pan, but it's like pretty warm in person, and I don't really like need a warm highlighter. I don't wear a lot of warm. I would like it to be a cool tone highlighter. Anyway, I haven't worn this one on my cheeks, so since we're doing like warmer tones today, I thought this would be a perfect time for me to try it. So this formula is, I believe it's baked. What's interesting about this and the one from Gucci is they both are described as a gel powder, but what gel powder has meant to both of them, I think that these are just baked gelée. Like, I don't think that there's nothing weird about the formula. They feel like a powder. The Gucci ones do not feel like powder. They pick up like a powder. They apply mostly like a powder. They're like wet a little bit. They're a little bit wet, for lack of a better term. So I'm gonna just take some from the lighter side here, and I'm using the Sonia G Soft Cheek. I'm gonna dim the lights a little bit because I think that will help you see a little bit better. Here's why I say the swatches don't really do it justice. Like, there is some shimmer particles in this product, which I think is more apparent when you are looking at the swatches. The way it diffuses on the cheek though, it's like much less sparkly, although I've not worn this shade and I feel like it is looking a lot sparklier than La Luna. I don't know why that would be, because I feel like they have the same amount of sparkle in the swatch, but it reads really well on camera. It's one of those formulas that when you get up close to the face, you can kind of see the shimmer particles. So my instinct is to compare this to the Fenty Diamond Balm. If you used that, I think that these have a little more base pigment than I feel like the Diamond Balm definitely feels like a shimmer just like suspended in something, but there is no color to that, whatever it's mixed into. I'm gonna zoom you in. I feel as though that this highlighter gives you an oddly airbrushed highlighting effect, which is like pretty hard to do because highlighters often enhance texture and things like that. I'm not saying that this one doesn't enhance texture, but my God, I just feel like it's just like this beautiful kiss of a highlighter. It's really gorgeous. And I think that some people might be intimidated by this and think that's going to be like this blinding highlighter based on just the way that they've been swatching them in the promotional images and even the way the swatches look in real life. Because I just don't think in application it like is a blinding highlight. Like the Gucci one, I feel like I put it on and I was like, that's a highlight. I want to try this darker shade as maybe we'll just do that. Why not? we're having just kind of like makeup playtime. I'm going to use the darker side kind of as like a blush topper. The formula is pretty soft. I'm really going to put it on the back of my cheek. Yeah. I mean, I think when you build it up, when you have a lot of it focused, you're getting a lot more shine. So maybe too much for a blush topper. We have to repeat it with the other side. Let me finish my thought about the Fenty Diamond Balm. There is something about the Diamond Balm that I never quite loved as a highlighter. I liked using it sometimes if I was doing something really intense and I wanted it to have that wet look. But something that bothered about me in real life and in not in pictures, but not in motion, like in camera, the particles were too far apart. I think there is something about this having like a slight bit of pigment in what the shimmer particles are suspended in, and it is so slight. It's so slight. It just makes it look like the sparkles aren't just like some sparkles on your face, which I think I like this a lot better than I like the Diamond Balm. Like I would sometimes just forego ever touching the Diamond Balm because I was like, well, I don't think that's really the look I'm going for. I've been wearing La Luna. Anytime I do my makeup, I put on La Luna. I've gotten compliments on La Luna IRL, and I couldn't tell you the last time I got complimented on a highlighter or like people asked what a highlighter was. So do with that information what you will. I really like these. I also really like the Gucci ones. They wear really well throughout the day. Like I have no complaints about these. I would say whatever colors you're more interested in. If you were like between Hindash and Gucci, I would say the Gucci formula is a little more unique, a little more interesting. And if that's what you're looking for, I would go for that. If you are looking for like a top-notch, beautiful, just kiss of glow on the cheeks from Hindash, I think Hindash is the way to go. They are cheaper. They're available at Beautylish now, so if you live in the United States, you'll be able to grab them there instead of through the main website like I did, and so mine came from Dubai, like that's where they ship from. So if you are living in the United States, you don't want to buy from Hindash website because the Hindash shipping is pretty expensive if you live in the United States. You know, do with that information what you will. Let's talk a little bit about the compact. It is kind of clunky looking, like it's shiny black with white writing. I like that the back is kind of no nonsense. You see the name, and that's kind of just most of Hindash's stuff. It's like kind of no nonsense. This is the first packaging I've encountered from Hindash that has come in plastic packaging. His other stuff has come in cardboard. It's not like heavy. It's not luxe. I don't want to say it's not luxe, but it's like it's exactly what it looks like is exactly what you think it is. I don't find it particularly hard to open. It has a kind of clasp. You don't need to push a button. You just pull it apart. I guess, fear that over time, maybe the thing that hooks on the inside will fall off, and I don't believe that there's any magnets. It doesn't feel like I need to apply like more pressure to open it than I do with the Gucci. Well, maybe a little more. It requires a little more dexterity than the Gucci one. And then just because we're kind of talking about them, both packagings are kind of clunky, but the Hindash is a little bit clunkier. And then I was looking at my Sisley powder, which I don't think is super clunky, but it is. I do believe that like this is a custom component, even though it's not like given the razzle dazzle for a custom component. I kind of like the chunkiness of them. It's so interesting because sometimes I like chunky packaging and sometimes I don't. I feel like a lot of highlighter packaging tends to be like kind of demure. And I think when I see those the tops of those big black things in my highlighter drawer, I will be like, I know what that is. How I'm feeling now at this time is Doll Dynasty, I think, well, super gorgeous. I don't know that I will keep it. We'll see. We'll see what happens as I continue on the journey and I keep playing with them. As far as what I've been using more, I have absolutely been reaching for the Hindash ones over the Gucci ones, and it's not because I don't like the Gucci ones. I just kind of like this formula a little bit better. I like the way it looks just a slightly bit better. Overall, though, I think both are fab. I don't think you can go wrong if you want to try either one of these. Although, something to note, if you buy more than one of the Gucci ones, I don't know that they did this on purpose. They're magnetic on the one side for the closure, obviously, and they do kind of stick together, but there's not one on the back, so it just kind of swivels. I noticed that just because I put them in my drawer and they immediately stuck together, and I was like, what happened? Like, how did that happen? Big fan, huge. Big fan. Let's move on to eyeshadow. In Critical Sass, I talked about the new Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palette. I think it's called the Fawn. And I compared it to like Divine Rose and I Need a Nude. And I looked at my makeup collection. I'm only going to be using mattes. And then I pulled out this. This is the Beautyverse palette from Charlotte Tilbury, which was their holiday release last year. I don't know that that's the right answer. I would have used Divine Rose if I still had it, but I do not. And so I think it would, in my collection right now, the thing that would be closest would be like this or this. Both limited edition palettes. I think I just used the Beautyverse in a video, so well, I think I also just used this in a video. I don't really have that many eyeshadow palettes anymore, so let's just use this. I think that this one is closer. It's less warm than the Beautyverse palette, so I think this will make more sense for what we're doing in this video. It's closer to the mattes and Fawn. So the thing about Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palettes is Lisa has such a devoted fan base. I've seen the eyeshadow palettes kind of go both ways for people. I've seen people like them, and I've seen people like not care for the formulas in them. I just think that Lisa hasn't really released an eyeshadow palette that I feels like speaks to me. And that sounds interesting, right? Because I think a lot of the palettes that the brand has put out so far are all palettes that like kind of look like the palettes I use on a regular basis. And I don't really want her to do like an out of left field color story either. I think what I'm kind of like waiting for from the brand is, I don't know. I think the big problem so far is, and I don't think they actually do, but like when I look at them, it feels like they look like they lack texture. And like when it comes to eyeshadows beyond mattes, I'm looking for like something interesting that I haven't like felt before, or like something that I really like. Someone did reach out to me and said white tie in that palette is actually a really, really pretty shade, which I feel proud to have clocked the prettiest shade. And I'm so sorry. I think it was Megabyte Muse on Instagram sent me swatches, and white tie did look really pretty. But white tie also looks like a lot of things I own. And I think that's another problem is Lisa's palettes so far look like stuff that I already own. What happens with brands like Lisa Eldridge, and I think Pat McGrath, was one time one of those brands, or I would say like Phytosurgeons falls into this too. And maybe like Ritual Defeat is another brand that falls into this too. There's like a cult of personality that comes with those brands, meaning like there are so many people who are really diehard about it. And the people who really like that kind of thing already have resources and use people as resources to get their information about like how one of those products might work from a brand. I will never be the like pentultimate Lisa Eldridge resource. I'm never going to be the pentultimate resource for any brand because I'm not interested in buying everything from every brand. Does that make sense? So it's just like for me to buy something to review, or for me to buy something for me, Lisa's brand is going to have to release something that feels like it's going to be better than all of the other things that I already have, or like that is available on the market. And I think it looks like she's released some really great stuff. None of it feels like if I bought it, it would be the best. Although the skin tint, I think it is. So it's not like she hasn't done it for me, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just like one of those things. Just sitting here blending this eyeshadow quietly for like a little bit. And I was just like, I really like this eyeshadow palette so much. I really do. Makeup by Mario really did this for me, but he scorned me as well. I would like to build a better relationship with you, Mario, if you're up for it. When was the last time, just thinking out loud, when was the last time a product really flopped? And I mean like universally. Like, when was the last time, and subculture is like a very specific reference, but like, what was the last product that we all universally decided, poo-poo, not that, poo-poo, not that product? It doesn't have to be on like a massive scale. Like, I know a lot of you probably watch a lot of content creators. Has there been a product in recent history that like all of us disliked, even if we weren't communicating with each other that we didn't like it? Has that happened recently? I'm so curious. Let me know. And I talked about another eyeshadow palette in Critical Sass, and it was Danessa Myricks Lightwork 6 palette. And I have always a lot of things to say about Danessa Myricks palettes, and I think we all agreed that the packaging was overcomplicated and didn't need to be like that. Some of you liked that there was single shadows, you liked the cost for the type of eyeshadows. I see what everyone's saying, but I still think I'm right. I would like it better if you all just agreed with me. I'm obviously kidding. I feel like everyone who said that they liked the palette or had already bought the palette. It was very kind whenever they were sharing their experience or sharing why they desired the palette. So it wasn't like there was any ill will from anyone, including me in the video. Like I wasn't saying that. I just was like, this is like how I'm feeling. And obviously critical sass is like a hyperbolic, raised attitude. Like it's like, you know, it's supposed to be something where we are spitfiring just thoughts. I feel like I share this thought all the time, and I just feel like this always falls on deaf ears. So 18 eyeshadows is like a lot of eyeshadows in general, but 18 special shades where you might only be using 1 to 2, and unless you're like someone who does this kind of thing all the time, who might use like 3 to 4 in one look. But like someone like me, in the way that I use eyeshadow, I probably would only be using one of those shades. It may be up to 2 in one eyeshadow look at a time. And also knowing me, I will only like really love 2 of the shades. I'm now understanding why I don't like eyeshadow palettes anymore as I'm having this conversation. And I just wouldn't reach for that palette if there was only 2 shades in it. Now this obviously is a little bit different because I could remove those 2 shades, but then I would just be using the 2 shades from my $128 palette. So for me, it makes more sense for me to, if I want some of those special shades, to be very mindful and pick out the shades that I think I will use. Like if I'm buying online, like you can only do so much. If you're like buying from Cliona, you can only use people's swatches. Like if you're not interacting with it in real life, you like won't know. But like I do my best if I'm gonna try to go down that route to pick the shades that I think I'm going to use a lot. But I have basically done the opposite in my lifetime, where I bought a lot of the stained glass collection from Cliona and I never used any of it, and I have edited it down to less. I still think like if I were to make an 18 pan Cliona palette, which I think I have at least 18. I think I still have about 18. The same exact thing would happen, you know? So that's why this kind of thing, 18 eyeshadows is overwhelming. The system is overwhelming. Like the packaging in the system is overwhelming. So let's pick out a Cliona shade. I think I have some warm tone Cliona shades. If not, we can use a Shine by SD one. Yeah, I still have some warm Cliona shades. Like these are my favorite Cliona shades, like this kind of tones. But I also have a palette that has like more. I have metal on my shirt, and the magnets in these palettes keep sticking to my shirt. Let's use, it is the shade Torch. Oh, the shade is pretty. I'm gonna put down glitter primer, but I'm going to put on like the thinnest, which I also, you know, kind of always recommend for any kind of like anything on your eye, like the less of a layer, the better. But like, I almost want it to be like not tacky again. I'm gonna take a very fluffy blending brush. I think there's stuff on it already. I'm just gonna literally like gently tap. I don't want too much of a multi-chrome effect today with this look. I'm just gonna sweep it on my eye. Cliona is one of the sponsors of Creators and Friends. I don't know if I'll be getting PR, but that would be fun. I've not really had any downs with Cliona, but like my consumption of Cliona was a problem at one point. Luckily, I'm like on the other side of that, but like it will be fun to like, you know, try some new formulas from them. They're one of those brands where I'm always like, I love seeing you here. I love seeing you around. So maybe I'll get some PR. That'd be nice. Wouldn't that be nice? Or Gina. Oh, look at her. I did switch eyeshadow brushes because the really fluffy one wasn't picking up enough for anything to show up. I was really right for keeping this shade. My past self really did me a favor because I feel like Torch was on the chopping block, because there was a point whenever I did that big single shadow declutter where I was like, I'm just gonna get rid of all of my warm eyeshadows, and I knew that wasn't right, and I'm glad I didn't. You know, it's interesting. I have not been wearing a lot of eyeliner recently. I'm not gonna put any eyeliner on. I'm gonna put on mascara and put on a lipstick, and then we'll like kind of briefly run through everything that I did today. Do you ever wonder what your actual 13th reason would be? Because I just got mascara all over my finger because I missed the hole with the wand, and I just swiped mascara down my hand. When in doubt, if I'm doing a warm tone look, this is always what I grab. It's the Nashi Pear shade from About Face. Also, I thought I decluttered those. Sometimes I'll go through a drawers and I'll be like, you're still here. It's not even that I don't like this. I just think I thought at one point in my brain, I was like, well, I never wear that, but it's like not true. It's like my warm toned lip color, get out of jail free card. And every time I wear this, A lot of people ask what it is. At the end of the after sass, it's really like, did I talk myself out of any temptations? Well, not really in this one because I was not tempted. And then if you were to look at my last after sass, I basically said whenever we got to highlighter, I said, I'm gonna be buying those highlighters. And I did. I did. So, I basically, I guess, just to follow up, big fan of these. Big fan of these. Not anything you need. If you have, like, I think they're really beautiful, but like, unless you're really into highlighter and you switch through your highlighters, like truly Light Luna has like been like the one. Like I'm pretty committed to a highlighter whenever I'm like really into it. If right now, if we were playing the game where like which one is Tom using the most out of the Gucci ones and also these two, it's like Light Luna. Because she's beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, and amazing, and there's never been anything like her in the whole world. And that's not true. Highlighter having its moment in my life right now, which is so strange because I do really feel as though at the beginning of this year I was like, highlighter, and then now I'm like, partway through the year and I'm like, well, maybe highlighter. But what if we did highlighter? Anyway, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you happen to be new here, this is a lot of what I try to do on my channel. I try to help myself and help you be more discerning about the makeup that we're buying. And a lot of the content I try to do revolves around loving my makeup collection first and foremost, but I do sometimes do reviews on my channel and I do sometimes get PR and I try to be very honest about how I feel about those things whenever I get them. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I have Patreon and channel memberships if you want to support me there. It's not the better way to support me, it's just a different way to support me. Thank you all my current members and patrons. I really appreciate you. You make reviews and things like buying the Hindash highlighters possible, and thank you for that. In the pinned comment down below is a link to help a family in Gaza. If you have the means to help them, I would really appreciate that. And that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow your host and you will find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.